16 million people stand to lose health care. That's thousands of hospitals that will be affected. We're talking about jobs and families that will be impacted. Worse, we're dealing with these tariffs, which are taxes that Americans pay, which are raising the cost on medical equipment, putting further strain on rural hospitals in my district, but yet the billionaires under this plan will still get their tax break. Mr. Secretary, under the bill, who gets the most benefits? A billionaire with a complex tax return or a working parent with one W-2?
Under President Trump's first term, a greater...
Not the first term. Well, I'm asking under this bill.
Including this bill, in terms of percent, as opposed to absolute numbers, in terms of percent, working families will have a greater...
Well, in fact, Mr. Secretary, every credible outside estimator says that the wealthiest win under this proposal and working people and the poor lose. They pay more. Working people pay more. That's the story of this big, beautiful bill. Help the ultra-rich and leave everyone else paying the price. Thank you, Chairman Smith, and to the ranking member. Mr. Secretary, good afternoon. Does taking health care away from 16 million Americans lower prices for working families? Yes or no?
I'm not sure what that question means.
The bill, the big, beautiful bill that was passed by this committee and the majority of the Republicans in the House would eliminate health care for 16 million Americans. I'm asking, does that lower the cost for working families? Yes or no?
Again, which cost? Oil, fuel cost, food cost?
Household cost.
Sorry?
The cost that households have to cover every month. Middle class working people.
Again, I disagree with the characterization.
So the answer is no. The bill doesn't deal with that.
Well,
can you name one rural community whose hospital will be strengthened by this one big, beautiful bill? Just one. Yes or no?
Again, I'm not HHS, but I will be happy to get to you on that.
I would appreciate that answer. 16 million people stand to lose health care. That's thousands of hospitals that will be affected. We're talking about jobs and families that will be impacted. Worse, we're dealing with these tariffs, which are taxes that Americans pay, which are raising the cost on medical equipment, putting further strain on rural hospitals in my district, but yet the billionaires under this plan will still get their tax break. Mr. Secretary, under the bill, who gets the most benefits? A billionaire with a complex tax return or a working parent with one W-2?
Under President Trump's first term, a greater...
Not the first term.
Well,
I'm asking under this bill.
Including this bill, in terms of percent, as opposed to absolute numbers, in terms of percent, working families will have a greater...
Well, in fact, Mr. Secretary, every credible outside estimator says that the wealthiest win under this proposal and working people and the poor lose. They pay more. Working people pay more. That's the story of this big, beautiful bill. Help the ultra-rich and leave everyone else paying the price. Are you yourself a beneficiary of any provision in this bill? Will you personally receive a tax cut under the provisions of under this bill?
Two things, Congressman.
Yes or no? It's
we had a referendum on November 5th, and working Americans
yes
voted
no?
for President
Reclaiming
Trump.
my time.
And
reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman.
Two,
Mr. Chairman, I'm reclaiming my time.
And two...
So, Mr. Secretary, it's my time, Mr. Secretary. I'm asking you a yes or no question.
I'm trying to answer you, and...
It's a yes or no question.
Saying it louder does not elicit an answer.
Well, not answering the question at all proves that you're evasive. Are you the head, the person that's the head of overseeing the implementation of our tax code, a beneficiary under the provisions of, any provisions of this bill?
Again, this is an extension of an existing bill.
So are you a beneficiary?
This is an extension.
Okay, I will take that as a no. Mr. Secretary, did the TCJA help increase the supply of housing? Yes or no?
Sorry?
Did the TCJA help increase the supply of housing? Yes or no?
I don't know. And
according to the Federal Reserve of Philadelphia, comparing the pre and post TCJA housing market, they found that between January of 2015 to October of 2019, housing construction in fact slowed under TCJA. So, Mr. Secretary, do tariffs on steel, aluminum, and lumber raise the cost of construction? Yes or no?
Again, on the housing point, the interest rates went up because the economy was stronger.
And under this proposal,
inflation was nascent.
and under a budget report that just came out from the Yale Budget Lab, they just released data showing that because of the debt that is going to be added by this big ugly bill, mortgage rates will increase. Are you aware of that?
I'm aware that
this bill is a
I'm aware that the
disaster
Inflation
for the
Reduction
people
Act,
of Nevada who are struggling with the cost of rent and the ability to afford housing. These are the pressing issues that my constituents are concerned about, and I hope that this administration understands the impact of the negative consequences of their proposal.
This administration very much understands the impacts on working Americans, and that's why working Americans voted for President Trump.
The moment Representative Stephen Horsford takes the mic, you can feel the tone of the room shift. Not because he raises his voice, but because he raises the stakes. From the very first question, he cuts right through the talking points, right through the political theater, and zeroes in on the one thing every working American wants to know: who actually benefits from this so-called big, beautiful bill? And the second he presses Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent for a straight answer, the tension snaps tight like a wire about to break. Horsford doesn't dance around the issue. He doesn't pad it with jargon. He asks the simplest question imaginable. Does taking healthcare away from 16 million Americans lower costs for working families? A yes or no. A basic reality check. And yet Bessent stalls, grasps, dodges. Suddenly, the simplest question becomes complicated. Suddenly, the cost of healthcare becomes some abstract academic puzzle with no measurable impact on real people's lives. And that's where Horsford draws the line, because he knows exactly how high this cost really is. Rural hospitals closing, families losing coverage, and workers forced to pay more for less. When Horsford asks him to name even one rural community strengthened by this bill, Bessent offers nothing. No examples, no data, no reassurance, just bureaucratic fog. And in that silence, Horsford makes the point without ever having to say it. If you can't name a single community this bill helps, maybe it's not built to help communities at all. Then comes the heart of the exchange, the moment that transforms a policy debate into a raw confrontation of values. Horsford asks who gets the biggest benefits under this bill: a billionaire with a maze of tax loopholes, or a working parent with one W-2? Every outside economic analyst says the same thing: the wealthy win big and working families lose ground. But Bessent tries to talk around it. Not correct, not his characterization, not the right framing. And that's when Horsford stops letting him hide behind technical language and forces him to face the truth. Because if a Treasury Secretary can't answer who wins and who loses under a tax bill, maybe the answer is exactly what Americans fear. And then Horsford drops the question that changes the temperature of the room. Are you, personally, a beneficiary of this bill? Will you get a tax cut? Yes or no? You can see Bessent trying to escape through procedural cracks, invoking elections, process, anything. But Horsford doesn't let him. He reclaims his time again and again. Because for millions of Americans watching their bills rise, their rents climb, their healthcare disappear, this isn't a game of semantics, it's survival. And after Bessent dodges the question for the third, fourth, fifth time, the truth becomes unavoidable. The man overseeing the tax code can't even say whether he gains from the bill he's defending. And sometimes refusal is its own answer. From there, Horsford pushes even deeper. He asks about housing, construction costs, tariffs, specific impacts that shape the daily lives of people who don't have lobbyists, PACs, or private summits in Beverly Hills. He cites Federal Reserve data showing housing construction slowed after Trump's tax bill. He points to new reports from the Yale Budget Lab showing mortgage rates rising because of the debt this proposal adds. And every time Horsford brings real data, real consequences, Besant retreats to a familiar refrain. It's complicated, it's an extension, it's contextual, it's this, it's that. Everything except an answer. Because at the core of this confrontation is a question far bigger than one bill. Are the people in power writing laws for the families who elected them, or for the wealthy few who will never feel the pinch? Horsford ends the exchange the same way he began it, grounded in the reality his constituents live every single day. Rising rents, rising mortgage rates, rising construction costs, rising medical expenses, and a government that keeps telling them things are getting better while the bills on their kitchen table say otherwise. This wasn't just a clash, it was a collision of two Americas, one that pays the price and one that refuses to admit who benefits. If you learned something new from this breakdown and want more unfiltered examinations of moments Congress would rather you ignore, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment about what part hit you the hardest. Your engagement is what helps us break through the noise and bring these exchanges to light.